All right, so get ready because we're going deep today.
Deep.
Deep into chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita,
Oh, yeah, this is a good one.
often called the Book of Religion by
Yeah.
Deliverance and Renunciation.
Mm.
Just rolls right off the tongue.
It does.
But really, picture this. We're hanging out with Arjuna,
Okay.
a warrior prince about to face a battle that's
Oh.
going to test everything he believes in.
Oh, yeah.
And his chariot driver,
Mm.
just Krishna, divine guide, dropping wisdom
Dropping truth bomb.
left to right. And this chapter, it's like the ultimate guide to
Yeah.
the meaningful life.
Yeah.
But not just airy-fairy stuff. We're talking
Right.
action, duty, finding liberation, the whole shebang.
Mm-hmm.
What are you most curious about as we jump into this ancient wisdom?
I think what always fascinates me about this chapter is it's wrapping up all the big themes of the Gita,
Right.
but it also gets surprisingly practical.
Yeah.
Like Krishna knew.
Knew we'd be dealing with this stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Thousands of years later.
Right. Like, what's the deal with renunciation?
Yes.
Right off the bat, Arjuna is asking about sannyasa and tyaga, like giving up all the worldly things and even the rewards of your actions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah, it's intense.
intense. What's Krishna's take on that?
Well, think of it this way. Imagine you have a CEO
Okay.
who is working tirelessly,
Yeah.
but isn't at all attached to the company's stock price.
Interesting.
They're just doing their duty, not craving the fruit, right?
Mhm.
That's tyaga. And so Krishna says true renunciation, or sannyasa,
Yeah.
isn't necessarily about running off to a cave.
Right.
It's an internal shift. It's more about letting go of desire-driven
Oh, I see.
actions, not all actions.
I can still, crush it in my career,
Yeah,
but not be, emotionally chained to the outcome.
exactly.
Okay, that makes renunciation seem, I don't know,
More doable.
less intimidating.
Yes, much more doable.
But Krishna also points out that things like selfless service, meditation, all of that, they're essential.
Yes.
But even those, we should do without
Without attachment.
being attached to the result.
To the results, yeah. It's about acting.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Yes, exactly.
Not because we're expecting a reward.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense. But then
Yeah.
Arjuna kind of points out what seems like a contradiction
Oh, yeah.
in Krishna's teaching, right?
Uh-huh.
On the one hand, don't abandon your duty.
Yeah.
On the other hand, detach from your actions.
Yeah.
How do we reconcile those two?
Yeah.
It's like saying, go for it, but don't care.
Exactly.
If you succeed.
That's a great point. And this is where the idea of
Yeah.
selfless action comes in. Krishna is saying, do your duty,
Okay.
but don't let ego or personal gain be the driving force.
Mm-hmm.
You act because it's your dharma, your purpose,
Right.
not because you're expecting something in return.
So it's not about becoming indifferent, but finding that sweet spot between action and detachment. We're not just passively going with the flow.
Right.
We are acting
Yes.
with purpose.
With purpose, yeah.
Without needing a pat on the back.
Right.
For every single thing.
And to illustrate this further,
Okay.
Krishna dives into what's called the 5 factors of action.
5 factors.
5 factors.
Okay, hit me.
According to Sankhya philosophy, he's basically saying
Okay.
every action we take, whether it's physical, mental, even what we say, it's a result of these 5 things coming together.
Okay, what are the 5 mystical
The 5 mystical ingredients.
ingredients?
Action. So we have the force behind the action,
Okay.
the person doing it, the tools or methods being used,
Mhm.
the effort involved, and God.
Whoa, hold on. God's in the mix.
God's in the mix.
So I'm not the only one responsible
Right.
for my actions.
Yeah.
Phew, what a relief.
That's a relief.
But seriously, what does that have to do
Yeah, good
with
call.
anything?
It's about humility,
Okay.
right? Krishna is saying that if we only see ourselves as the sole actor, we miss the bigger picture.
Okay.
So by recognizing these other forces at play,
Right.
especially this universal force like God,
Mm-hmm.
we start to detach from that ego-driven need to control.
So it's like recognizing that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves.
Exactly.
We're not the directors of our own movie, but we're
We're just actors
actors playing a part
in this grand
in a
production.
much grander production.
Yes.
Okay, so we talked about renunciation,
Uh-huh.
selfless action, the 5 factors. What else does Krishna drop on us in this chapter?
So he gets into this threefold nature of
Yeah.
knowledge, action, and intellect.
All right.
Basically how these are categorized by the 3 gunas,
Okay.
sattva, rajas, and tamas.
The gunas.
Yes. Think of these as the fundamental forces that influence, well, everything.
Okay.
So sattva is like the calm after the storm.
Well,
pure, peaceful.
Yeah.
Rajas is the storm itself, full of energy, turbulence. And then tamas is like being stuck in the mud, unable to move.
So you're saying that how we know things, our actions,
Yes.
Even how we think, are all influenced by these gunas.
For these gunas, yeah. For instance, true knowledge, according to Krishna, is about seeing the interconnectedness of everything.
Right.
That's pure sattva. But imperfect knowledge sees things as separate and distinct, driven by rajas. And then there's false knowledge, clinging to narrow views stuck in tamas.
So how we see the world is shaped by which guna is dominant.
Is dominant in our thinking.
That's kind of trippy.
It is trippy.
And this applies to action as well.
It applies to action as well.
Okay.
Right? Action is selfless. That's sattva. Vain action, driven by ego, by desire, that's rajas at play.
Okay.
And then there's dark action. Reckless, harmful, under the spell of tamas.
It's like Krishna's giving us this whole new framework for understanding ourselves and the world.
And the world around us.
But what about our intellect?
Oh, good question. So where does that fit in?
A good intellect, according to Krishna, discerns right from wrong, seeks liberation, that's sattva shining through.
Right.
But a marred intellect, they know what's right, but struggle to act accordingly.
That's the rajas.
Rajas messing things up. And an evil intellect. Mistakes wrong for right. Totally lost in tamas.
This is so fascinating.
It is fascinating.
It's like we're getting this crash course in ancient wisdom.
Yes.
And I'm starting to see how all these concepts could actually apply to our
modern lives.
Modern lives.
That's the beauty of the Gita, right? Timeless wisdom.
Yeah, timeless wisdom that speaks to us.
Across cultures, across eras.
No matter what.
It's a shape.
Okay, so we've covered renunciation, selfless action, 5 factors. Now the threefold nature of
knowledge, action, intellect. What else does Krishna?
Well, then he introduces this concept of the threefold nature of pleasure. And guess what?
Oh, no.
It's also connected to the gunas.
Hold on. 3 types of pleasure.
3 types of pleasure.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Tell me more about these different, I don't know, flavors of happiness.
Different flavors of happiness. So picture this. You're enjoying a delicious meal.
Okay.
Pure enjoyment, right. But Krishna says there's more to pleasure than meets the eye.
Okay.
He describes these 3 kinds of pleasure.
Okay.
Each tied to a guna.
All right, so I'm all about, like, maximizing good vibes.
Of course, of course.
Which pleasure should I be chasing?
So the first one is good pleasure.
Okay.
It might feel a little tough at first.
Okay.
Like kind of like bitter medicine.
All right.
But it leads to lasting contentment.
Interesting.
Krishna compares it to like amrit, the nectar of immortality.
Oh, wow.
It's not about those fleeting thrills, but deep soul-nourishing satisfaction.
So sometimes the things that are good for us require us to push through that initial discomfort.
It's like
no pain, no gain.
Exactly.
But for pleasure.
Exactly. And this good pleasure, it comes from within.
Right.
It's about that spiritual contentment, not external stuff.
So what about the other 2 types?
Yeah. So the second one
What makes them different?
is what Krishna calls painful pleasure.
Painful pleasure.
Painful pleasure.
Okay.
It might feel amazing at first, like amrit.
Yeah.
But it ultimately leads to suffering.
Oh, okay.
It's all about indulging the senses.
Right.
Chasing those desires.
So it's like that sugar rush.
Yes.
Feels great for a minute, and then you crash.
You crash hard, exactly.
And you're chasing it again and again.
You're chasing that high again and again.
But it never really satisfies.
And it never truly satisfies. That's rajas driving you.
Okay.
And then there's the third kind.
Dark pleasure.
Dark pleasure.
This comes from ignorance
Okay.
and harmful behaviors.
Okay.
It's like being totally deluded about what true happiness is.
So Krishna's really advocating for us to cultivate that good pleasure.
The good pleasure.
The kind that leads to lasting
fulfillment.
Fulfillment.
Yes. He's saying, don't be fooled by the fleeting highs, right?
Yeah.
There's a deeper kind of happiness out there.
Right.
One that aligns you with your true self.
This is giving me a whole new perspective about how I approach, like, everything.
Yes.
I'm curious, how does this concept of pleasure connect to...
That's a great question.
...fulfilling our Dharma?
Yes.
And achieving liberation? Is it all just about
It's not all just about feeling good.
Feel good.
And it brings us to the next big idea in chapter 18.
Okay.
Krishna's teachings on duty and Dharma.
All right.
He connects these dots so beautifully.
Yeah.
Showing how finding true pleasure
actually lies in aligning yourself with your purpose.
Okay, I'm ready to connect those dots.
All right.
So what does Krishna say about Dharma?
So he gets specific, outlines the duties associated with the 4 social classes.
Right.
The Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaisyas, and the Sudras.
Brahmanas, Kshatriyas,
Each one
Vaisyas, Sudras.
has unique responsibilities, qualities.
Right. So the Brahmanas, those are the teachers.
Yes. Teachers, priests.
The priests.
Kshatriyas are the warriors and rulers.
Warriors and rulers.
Vaisyas, merchants, farmers.
Merchants, farmers.
And then the Sudras, the laborers, the service providers.
That's like this cosmic division of labor.
Division of labor, exactly.
Okay.
And Krishna emphasizes by diligently performing these duties that are prescribed, individuals can achieve perfection.
Okay, hold on. Wouldn't that make society super rigid?
Good question.
Like we're all stuck in these predetermined roles.
That's a good point. It's important.
Based on our birth. That doesn't seem very liberating.
Yeah. It's important to remember the historical context here.
Right.
While the social class system might seem outdated, Krishna's real message is about recognizing and fulfilling.
So it's not about blindly
your inherent nature.
Following a hierarchy.
It's not about blindly following.
But more about understanding.
Yes, understanding your strengths.
Your strengths and using them to
contribute. Exactly.
Contribute to the world.
It's about
like finding that unique thing.
Yeah, that unique thing you're meant to do.
You're meant to do.
Exactly. It's like recognizing that each of us has a unique role to play in this grand cosmic dance.
Yeah, I love that.
Right. And by fulfilling your Dharma, you bring harmony to the whole.
It's like each of us is a piece of the puzzle.
Yes.
When we're in the right place.
And when we're all in the right place, the picture becomes clear.
Okay, but let's circle back to liberation.
Let's do it.
What does Krishna say is the path?
So he gives us a pretty clear roadmap here.
Okay.
Devotion, self-control, letting go of desires, and ultimately surrendering to the divine will.
So break it down for me.
All right. So devotion in this context means cultivating a deep connection with the divine. Think of it like channeling your energy towards something bigger than yourself.
Right.
Letting go of selfish desires.
So it's not about blind faith.
It's not about blind faith.
It's more about aligning
bringing your heart,
your heart with a
higher purpose.
Higher purpose.
Exactly.
And this requires self-control.
Okay.
The ability to master your senses, your impulses.
Right.
Krishna emphasizes withdrawing from excessive indulgence.
Right.
Cultivating that inner peace.
It's hard to connect with something higher.
Yes.
If you're constantly bombarded.
It is by distractions, like trying to meditate when your phone's blowing up.
Exactly. Then comes the renunciation of desires. Letting go of attachment to possessions, achievements, even your ego. Recognizing that true happiness isn't found in those external things.
So it's not about denying yourself joy.
No.
But about shifting.
Shifting your focus, to something deeper, more lasting.
Okay.
And all of this leads to that final step.
All right.
Surrendering to the divine will, letting go of the need to control everything, trusting in the wisdom of the universe.
I get it, but that sounds...
And allowing life to unfold.
Terrifying and liberating.
It is both, isn't it?
At the same time.
It is both.
It takes a lot of faith to let go of that illusion of control.
It does. It does. But Krishna assures us that by surrendering to the divine, we'll be guided, we'll be protected.
Okay.
He says, make me your refuge. You will overcome all obstacles.
Okay.
And find true peace.
Wow, that's a powerful
promise. And speaking of powerful, the imagery he uses to describe this path.
Oh, yeah.
It's so vivid.
Like he's painting a picture.
It's like he's painting a picture.
Of what liberation looks like.
Exactly. He talks about dwelling in solitude.
Yeah.
Taming the senses, and ultimately, merging with the divine.
It's beautiful. It's inspiring.
It is beautiful.
It makes me think about what Krishna says in his final message.
Yeah, good point.
To Arjuna. Like, how does he wrap up this epic conversation? Yeah. What's the mic drop moment?
His final words are so personal and so moving. He tells Arjuna, give me your heart, adore me, serve me, cling in faith, and love and reverence to me. So shalt thou come to me.
Intense.
I promise true, for thou art sweet to me.
It's like he's extending this direct invitation to Arjuna and to all of us, really, to have this relationship with him.
Yes.
Based on love, devotion, and surrender.
Complete surrender.
No rituals.
No ritual.
No complicated practices, just
pure connection.
Pure connection.
Exactly. He's encouraging Arjuna. Let go of everything else. Make me your sole focus.
Okay.
And in doing so, you will be free.
Free from all burdens.
From all burdens and achieve that eternal peace.
Right. It's a pretty radical message. Okay, so after this whirlwind of wisdom, what's the biggest takeaway?
What's the takeaway?
If we had to condense it into a tweet.
A tweet.
What would Krishna's message be?
I think it would be this. True liberation isn't about running away from the world, but about changing your relationship to it. Act with clarity. Do your duty, but don't be caught up in the outcome. Cultivate a peaceful mind, align yourself with your purpose, and ultimately surrender to something bigger than yourself.
That's a tweet I would retweet.
I would too.
It's about finding that balance.
Yes.
Between action and surrender.
Yeah, that balance.
Purpose and peace.
Yes.
And I love how Krishna makes it clear that this path is for everyone.
It is.
No matter who you are, what you've done.
Exactly. It's a message of hope, empowerment, and ultimately love.
Love, yeah.
And it reminds us that we're not alone on this journey, right?
No, not at all.
We have that support of the divine.
Okay, so after this incredible deep dive, I feel like I have a whole new playbook.
Good.
For living a more meaningful life.
That's what we want.
We've explored everything.
I have.
From renunciation and selfless action to the gunas. The different types of pleasure.
Yes.
The path to liberation. It's just this.
It's an inspiring conclusion to this text.
Exactly. There's so much here.
There is.
To unpack and ponder.
So much to ponder.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a question.
All right, a question.
How can we apply these ancient teachings to our modern lives?
Good question.
How can we act with more awareness?
Yes.
Purpose. Detach from outcomes and discover our own unique
Dharma. Those are the questions to keep asking, right?
Yeah.
Don't just take our word for it.
Right.
Explore the Bhagavad Gita yourself. Maybe read different translations, talk to other people who are on this path. Most importantly, experiment. See how you can integrate these teachings into your daily life.
It's about taking these ancient wisdom teachings. And making them
relevant
and relatable.
And remember, this journey towards liberation.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is.
There's going to be challenges, moments of doubt. But by staying connected to that higher power, cultivating a peaceful mind, acting with love and compassion, we can continue to grow and evolve.
So true. On that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into Chapter 18.
Into Chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita.
The Bhagavad Gita.
We hope you've enjoyed.
We hope you've enjoyed
exploring these profound teachings with us.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's like we've been given this incredible toolbox filled with ancient wisdom, right? And now it's up to us to figure out how to use these tools in our everyday lives.
Right. And speaking of tools, one of the most fascinating concepts we've explored is the three
gunas.
The gunas, yes. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Like these fundamental forces shaping our reality.
They are.
And Krishna really brings it all together.
He does.
In this chapter, showing how understanding them can help us make choices that lead to greater freedom and happiness.
It's amazing how this concept, which seems so abstract at first, can actually be applied to so many aspects of our lives.
It's like he's giving us this secret decoder ring.
Yes. A decoder ring.
For understanding ourselves.
For understanding ourselves and the world around us.
Okay, so for our listeners who might need a quick refresher, can you remind us what each of these
represents?
So sattva, that pure, peaceful, harmonious energy, it's associated with wisdom, clarity, a sense of inner calm. Think of it like the feeling you get after a great meditation session.
Right.
Or when you're surrounded by nature.
Ah, that makes sense. It's that feeling of being totally present and at ease.
Present and at ease, yes.
So what about rajas?
Okay, so rajas is all about passion, activity that drive to achieve and acquire. It's the energy that fuels our ambitions, our desires, that push to get things done.
So it's like the energy of a bustling city.
Yes.
Always on the move.
Always on the move.
Striving for more.
Striving for more, exactly. And while rajas can be powerful for creation and accomplishment, it can also lead to, restlessness, anxiety, attachment to outcomes.
Right. It's that feeling of never being...
That feeling of never being satisfied. Always wanting more.
Always wanting more,
Exactly.
Okay, and last but not least, tamas.
Tamas. So tamas is the opposite of sattva, characterized by inertia, darkness, ignorance, and a lack of awareness. It's that feeling of being stuck, lethargic, or even, depressed.
Yeah, so it's like the energy of procrastination.
Procrastination, yes.
Stagnation.
Just stagnating.
And just feeling lost in a fog.
Lost in a fog, exactly. And Krishna points out how these gunas influence every aspect of our being.
From our thoughts and actions to the types of pleasure we experience.
Right. I remember how he described a sattvic intellect as one that's like...
Clear, discerning,
capable of
making wise decisions.
Making wise decisions.
Yeah, it's like having that mental filter.
Right.
That can distinguish between what's truly important and what's just noise.
Right. And on the other hand, a rajasic intellect is often clouded.
Clouded by desires.
By desires.
Ego-driven motivations.
That's like having a mental merry-go-round.
A mental merry-go-round.
That's constantly spinning.
Constantly spinning.
Makes it hard to see.
Hard to see things clearly.
Clearly.
And a tamasic intellect.
Yeah.
Stuck in ignorance and delusion.
Right.
Leading to those poor choices.
Yeah.
Actions that ultimately cause harm.
It's like being lost in a maze.
Lost in a maze.
With no sense of direction.
With no sense of direction, exactly. But here's the really cool part. We're not permanently stuck with one dominant guna.
Right.
We can actually shift and cultivate more sattvic qualities through our...
So we have the power to choose.
Choices and actions.
Which guna we align with.
Exactly. We have the power to choose.
That's so empowering. It means we're not just
victims.
Victims of our circumstances.
Of our circumstances or our conditioning.
Or our conditioning,
Exactly. By consciously cultivating practices that enhance sattva.
Okay.
Things like meditation, spending time in nature, practicing mindfulness, engaging in selfless service.
Okay.
We can gradually purify our minds.
Right.
Experience greater peace.
So we can...
Clarity and wisdom.
Shift towards greater harmony and balance.
Greater harmony and balance, exactly. And
yeah, that's incredible.
It's a continuous process though, right?
Right, yeah.
It's not about achieving some perfect state of pure sattva.
Right, it's not about being perfect.
And staying there forever.
Yeah.
Okay, the gunas are constantly interacting, influencing us in different ways.
Right, so it's more about becoming aware.
Becoming aware, yes.
Of the gunas and how they're
showing up.
Showing up in our lives.
Our lives, exactly.
And then making those...
And then making conscious choices.
Conscious choices.
That align us.
That align us.
With the qualities we want to cultivate.
It's like having a personal coach.
It is. It is.
Helping us stay on track.
Helping us stay on track and make choices.
And make choices, yeah.
That support our growth and well-being.
You know, and what's really fascinating is how this concept of the gunas even applies to our experience.
Of pleasure.
Of pleasure.
Right. He talks about how different types of pleasure
yes.
arise from different gunas.
Different gunas. Exactly.
The whole new way of understanding.
It is.
What truly brings
us true joy.
Joy and fulfillment.
And fulfillment. Exactly.
Yeah.
So remember.
He describes good pleasure.
Right.
Sattvic pleasure.
Sattvic pleasure.
As the kind that arises from spiritual contentment.
Okay.
Right? From connecting with our true nature.
So it's like that deep sense of peace and fulfillment.
Yes.
That comes from living in alignment with our Dharma.
With our Dharma, exactly.
From knowing we're on the right path.
On the right path, yes.
And contributing to the greater good.
And then there's that.
Right.
Painful pleasure, right.
Okay.
The rajasic pleasure.
Rajasic pleasure, right.
This is the kind that comes from indulging in that sensory gratification.
Right.
From chasing those external desires.
It feels good in the moment.
Feels good in the moment, but it's so fleeting.
Fleeting, right?
Leaving us wanting more.
It's like that cycle of craving and attachment.
Yes, exactly.
That keeps us running on a hamster wheel.
On that hamster wheel, never truly finding satisfaction.
Never truly finding satisfaction.
And then there's the dark pleasure.
Right. Dark pleasure.
The tamasic pleasure.
Tamasic pleasure. This is the most destructive kind.
Okay.
Arising from ignorance,
right,
delusion, and harmful behaviors.
Okay.
It leads to confusion, addiction, and a disconnect from our true selves.
So by understanding the gunas and how they influence
our experience of pleasure,
we can make choices.
We can make choices
that lead to true, lasting
happiness.
The happiness.
The kind that nourishes our soul.
Yeah, aligns us.
Aligns us with our purpose. Exactly. It's about becoming more mindful of the things we seek pleasure from.
Right.
Asking ourselves, what kind of pleasure is this?
That's such a powerful question.
It is a powerful question.
It really makes you stop and think.
Makes you stop and think.
About what we're prioritizing.
What we're prioritizing,
in our lives.
And whether it's truly aligned.
If it's truly aligned with our deepest values and aspirations.
This whole conversation about the gunas.
Yes.
And the different types of pleasure.
Really
highlights,
yeah.
the importance of self-awareness.
Self-awareness and introspection.
Exactly.
It's about becoming more conscious of our thoughts, feelings, motivations, and understanding how they shape our experiences.
And this self-reflection is a key aspect of the spiritual path.
It is a key aspect.
Outlined in Chapter 18.
In Chapter 18, Krishna encourages us to cultivate this deep understanding of ourselves, our true nature, and our place in the universe.
This has been such an incredible journey.
It has.
Through Chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita.
It has been a journey.
We've covered so much.
We've covered so much ground.
From the nature of action and duty.
Yes.
To the gunas.
Different
types of pleasure.
The different types of pleasure.
And the ultimate path.
The ultimate path to liberation. It's such a powerful and inspiring conclusion to this text.
Absolutely. And what's beautiful is it offers so much practical wisdom.
It does.
That we can apply.
That we should apply.
To our own lives, no matter where we are.
Yes.
On our spiritual journey.
It's like a timeless guidebook.
Right. Yeah.
For navigating the challenges and opportunities of human existence.
Absolutely. And I think that's a perfect
place to wrap up.
This
deep dive.
We've explored
some
profound concepts.
But
ultimately,
it's up to each of us.
To take these
teachings
and make them our own.
Our own.
Exactly. It's about experimenting. Reflecting. Integrating these ancient wisdom teachings.
Into our modern lives.
And remember.
The
journey is just as important.
Just as important as the destination.
Enjoy the process.
Enjoy the process of discovery and growth.
Exactly.
Right. So to all our listeners out there.
Yes.
We encourage you to keep exploring.
Keep questioning.
And keep seeking that which brings
you true and lasting joy.
Thanks for joining us. On this incredible deep dive. Into Chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita.
It's been a pleasure.